My respect levels for Togata just went through the roof. I never would have imagined how spectacular he would be as a character, or at the very least be this good. There's been so many discussions about his character, so many theories, so many ways that his character is either going to go out or is he going to become a villain. There's just been so many topics about this character since he was first introduced, because many of us that read Boku no Hero Academia, we have obviously read a lot of manga. We all have seen how shonen is handled and how editors like to throw in certain things or writers like to throw in certain things with the series and make it to where it has certain similarities to other manga. In this case, Togata was the character that was more experienced than Izuku, our MC. He was supposed to get the quirk that Izuku got from All Might, and he was supposed to be the number one hero. And if he would have gotten the quirk, and he definitely would have been the number one hero. When you look at everything he has done since his introduction, you could just see that he is overwhelmingly powerful. And it's not because his quirk is necessarily broken. It's just he has trained so hard to be where he's at, and that is why he's so insane. And you throw in All Might's quirk on top of that, one for all, then Togata is going to be just completely broken. His strength, speed, and his ability to face or anything, the man will basically be untouchable in most circumstances. So, Togata was always this character that was discussed constantly that he's probably going to die. He's probably going to die, or he's going to turn into a villain. That's what many of us figured would happen to his character. He was going to become a villain, or he was going to be the spy that was been spying on the entire school, or he was someone that was going to just be really jealous and upset with Izuku, and he was going to turn to the evil side, and join the League of Villains, or, he was going to die for he can set an example to Izuku to be a better hero. But it seems like Horikoshi wanted to do the next best thing, which was make it to where Togata loses everything he tried to gain throughout the past, I think 17 years of his life. Now, don't quote me on that number, but basically, Togata, throughout his entire life, since he was a boy, he has been putting every single moment of his life focusing on to become a hero. And you can see throughout so many years, and the panels we got in the chapter, he went all in. He did everything he possibly could to be where he is at now. He clearly did not achieve his status of being this strong and this competent to be able to fight someone like Overhaul in just one night of training. He did this over many years. It was a long time he had to get to this point, and you just can see that he put a lot of effort. And with just 1 second passing, one shot with a gun, killed all of that. Just think about it. You were to work on something for your entire life. You're, let's say, 25 years old, okay? Or you're my age, you're 22. You spend, let's say you finally figure out what you want to do when you're 5. So you say around when, I guess, you're 5 or 6, you start to, work. And for the rest of your life, you work towards that when you're, at the age of 5, up to you're 22. That is a long time. That is a very long time, because if you stick with that passion or whatever you're doing, and you're working on it in training, you're doing whatever you want to achieve your goal, your dream, and it's just taken away from you after so many hundreds and upon thousands of hours poured into something you've been trying to achieve, was just taken away from you like that. Just gone. Just in a matter of seconds. All of those years gone. That would break most people instantly. That would just instantly destroy anyone. Most people would be just done. Especially someone that has put that much effort into something. And you cannot deny and say that you probably wouldn't think of just giving up and being just destroyed if you put so many years into something and it was just obliterated in a second. You'd be crushed. You wouldn't really even know what to do. And that is what amazed me by this chapter. I figured that if he was going to lose his quirk, he was going to have probably a breakdown, because after everything he has done, you'd think he would just break down and just want to give up. but he didn't do that. The man almost gave up a very long time ago. It was stated in a flashback and what we know, he almost gave up. He was in a dark place. But thanks to helping hands and people supporting him, he was able to get where he was at in this chapter. But now it's gone. And even though he was at a dark place and he almost gave up, he didn't go back to those old ways. He actually remained strong, sturdy, and stood up against anyone that stood before him. And it shows what type of person he is. He knew what he needed to do. And it also shows what type of character he is as a person. Not just in the story, but as a person, what he said and what he wanted to do, he was not lying. Think about what he was trying to accomplish in this chapter. He wanted to protect Eri. He didn't want her to be sad anymore, cry, or get hurt or anything. He wanted to protect her. And he did so. He protected her. And as I've been saying for many chapters, and what I said in my anime reviews, what Stain's ideology is exactly what we saw from Togata in this chapter. A true hero throws herself out there on the battlefield, puts herself in harm's way to save someone. And they don't care about reward or anything like that. All they care about is doing what is right and saving those that they want to save, which in this case is Eri. And when he jumps in to try to save her, he doesn't care about harming his own self, which is madness. We already know that this is, in essence, it's madness. Because, yes, you should be a hero. Yes, you should, do good things and all that. But at the same time, you should care about your own self, your own well-being. Which this is an entirely different topic. But I've kind of briefly got into that in reviews in the past. But I don't want to dive into that. The big thing, though, is that Togata has shown that he has the madness similar to how All Might and Izuku is. He's a madman. But at the same time, he has dedicated a lot of time and been willing to not think about it, even though normal people would give up. He was willing to stay strong and protect those that he said he would protect. And that's what he did. He took a bullet for Eri. Even though, in a lot of ways, she might not have died. She wouldn't have gotten hurt, most likely. Or at the very least, her quirk wouldn't have deactivated, since it's technically from her. The big thing is the reason why he didn't want it to hit her was because of what he said. He said, I will not allow her to come to harm's way. And so because of that, he got shot. He knew what was going to happen. He was aware. But he got shot because he didn't want her to get hurt. He did that. He was fully aware. It was quick thinking. He had to think. There wasn't a lot of time to think, but he did that because that's what he wanted to do. He did that for her. And you could see when the bullet ran through him and his quirk deactivated, you would normally see him break down or someone break down, but he didn't. He stood strong, fought against Overhaul. He went right in and just punched Overhaul right in the face. And then he stood and fought them for a whole other long period of time, like for 5 minutes without his quirk. And he sat there, was taking blows. He couldn't phase like he once did, but he was still able to fight Overhaul for 5 minutes. Now, in essence, that's not a lot of time when you think about 5 minutes. In the grand scheme of things, how the world runs, 5 minutes isn't a lot. However, we got to imagine how quick this fight was, what was happening, what Overhaul is capable of. This man is capable of reconstruction, deconstruction. He can literally destroy things and then reform it in any shape he wants. It's not like the exact shape, but he can manipulate. It's like alchemy that we saw and I talked about in the last chapter. That's what it looks like. And so this man's quirk is just insane. It's legit ridiculous. You couldn't imagine someone without the ability to phase could actually handle someone like this with relative ease, especially in hand-to-hand combat. And if you're quirkless, you might as well say you're fucked. But even then, he was still able to hold his own and fight against Overhaul, which is something that is just downright impressive. The only reason why I think he was able to do that was because of all the training he has done throughout his life. If he didn't do so much physical training to be where he's at, I think he would have died. He would have straight up been murdered. It would not have been a fight at all. He would have gotten slaughtered. And that just shows that it's not always about the quirk that wins. It's about the person and the actions that they take to stand up against evil or a villain. And so, Togata, definitely one of the best characters of Boku no Hero Academia. I really loved what I saw in this chapter, and damn, it's stunning how good it was. Especially when you see that final image, when he's just sitting there, and he was holding off for 5 minutes, and you see how he's, like, been impelled, like, his chest was impelled, and his legs were impelled, and you just see this man, he can't even move at all, but he's still looking at Overhaul, trying to protect Eri. Like, the way he's, like, positioned, you see Eri's right behind him, and he's protecting her from any damage at all, so he doesn't want her to come to harm's way at all, even though he's in a spot that basically might scream, "You're going to die." But he still did that to the bitter end until Izuku popped up. So just like, glorious chapter. Glorious. Now, besides that, I want to actually congratulate Horikoshi for something I have been noticing quite a bit recently for Boku no Hero Academia. The narration. Now, I talked about it last week. I admit, I did. But once again, more narration, but also just inner thoughts, the inner psyche of so many characters. It's something I truly appreciate in literature. I know many might not care too much about that at all. Many be like, okay, it's just fucking inner thoughts. Just fuck off, Chibi. That's what many of you might think. But I like that because it allows us to see what the characters are thinking, how quick it takes for them to process information, and also to overcome whatever is coming at them. And when you see how he's thinking about certain things, you just see the movement of the characters, like there's just so much going on, like he's having to run over and take the bullet for Eri and all that, and you just see how he's trying to move as fast as he can. You can see that this man doesn't have much time to think, but he still thinks about certain things, especially when you see the flashes in his mind with the flashback about how he trained so hard to be where he's at. It was a very sad way to just depict what he just lost, even without dialogue as well. Just Horikoshi did a very good job with this chapter, with the narration, to the artwork, to the way he handled Togata's character in the first place. It could not have been done any better than it was. So, besides that, let's talk about Overhaul for a second. So, Overhaul, his objective, or his viewpoint on heroes, is very, very interesting. I really want to know more about his character. I've always thought he was fascinating because his design and all that, with, you know, having the Plague Doctor mask and having, like, this, like, thing to where he doesn't like to be around dirty people, or he doesn't like to be touched or whatever, get his hands dirty. He's had this little trait to his character that's very interesting. It fits with a Plague Doctor, but I always want to know what drove him to wear what he wears, his attire, his, you know, Plague Doctor mask. And it does seem, now, after looking at this, he thinks the entirety of society is sick. Not in the way of being, like, with a plague, but he thinks society is sick because of the way they act. For instance, heroes, how they're, you know, how they are in general, their mentality, he feels like they're very sick and all that. And the reason why he wants Eri to be able to make these bullets is because he wants to just showcase how they are when they don't have a quirk. He wants them to realize that they cannot be anyone they want to be. They're not who they think they are. They can't be anyone they want. And that's what he's doing. He's taking away their image. Because a lot of heroes, their image is their quirk. That's what it is. And if that is taken away, it's kind of like a big picture, or a part of their picture is just ripped away from them, and they're no longer the person they once were. And that's what he's doing. He's trying to say, like, you all are sick. If you guys didn't have this, you would be completely different. You wouldn't act like you are acting right now. So that is what I assume his thought process is, but we still need to know more about that. But I find Overhaul very fascinating with the way he views heroes and how he thinks everybody is sick and all that. It's truly interesting, and I want to know more about it. So that's about it when it comes to this chapter of Boku no Hero, though. It was a great chapter. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. How do you feel about what Togata did, his sacrifice? I love you all so much. Please be safe. Chibi out.